So what we see a lot from First Point Dorado, as we get into the game, just a little soft, is that defending team likes to run. Let's pause here for a second. So you have the point of the cart. The cart has to come. There's this archway here, and some back plaza going on this way. Defenders on the high ground. Basically here. I can go down and fuck off that way. And then there's some like back alley stuff going this way, right? So this is Dorado First Point. Payload starts here, and then track through under the archway, and generally we're going to end up at a contention point right here. That's where the first main fight usually is. Right? Alright. So there's actually some buildings here too. They're somewhat important to get involved. So, defending team, which is us, we're likely to be running a deathball style comp, or start up on the high ground, overlooking point, and then after getting some poke in, we'll retreat and hold them at arch. Goal of this is we're not really looking to get kills, we're just kind of looking to pressure and prevent them from getting over here on this high ground and exposing us to a flank. At this elo, most people will be holding at the choke point. The issue with this choke point is that if they have high ground control, they can come. They don't have to come through this choke. They can either come through the window up here. They can come through the right here and drop down. They can flank through this stairway here. You know, that leads back to like a mega way back here. And if they're really crafty, they can come over like the wall here. So, I'm told as you go up this choke, I mean, it's still a big thing, but you don't kind of hold it with deathball. You kind of have to give them this space a little bit and kind of hold closer to statue because it's harder to flank you there, and they're still coming through a choke point. But we're going to be holding most likely a choke point. If we were running defensive dive, we could set up our tanks along the two buildings that flank the starting point here, with our DPS and maybe supports up here, and then the DPS up here, or a DPS up here. So when they start the point, our tanks drop down without using the mobility, and then can retreat to the safety of our supports or high ground once they get in trouble. Looking to get a couple picks and just stall as long as possible. For the attackers, since this choke is a big deal, we are looking to have, we really have two options. We either need mobility to avoid the choke, or a lot of brute strength to force through the choke. The problem with the brute force approach is that if the enemy is running a Junkrat, or May, or likely a couple things, it's kind of like bashing your head against the wall until the wall breaks. If instead you go for a flank mobility approach, you can try to generate havoc in their backline and force them to leave this choke in order to better deal with you. We'll see how this plays out. Which one is the clear? Clear screen. There you go.
Do it, but I have. We are also.
Oh, we're playing Ilios. I'm not even doing it.
Sorry.
The other ranks, though.
Okay. So this is Lighthouse. Looks like we're running dive on one team, and we're running. I don't even know. So like, this team comp is very coordinated, right? You have these two pretty much staying together the whole time, and 4 dive. So we have 4 attacking, and we have 2 playing it safe. So Lucio is going to be peeling mostly for the Zen against like a Tracer here, for the most part. When the tanks get low, they can jump back to their supports and maybe amp it up as used then. But for the most part, they're going to be following discords and attacking coordinated. You can run it so the Lucio joins the dive, but better teams can just like single out the Lucio. So you don't really want to do that. So we're looking at 4-2 here. Very clear what they're planning to do. So right here we have a good tank composition in general. We have a Mercy that goes well with this tank composition and also goes well with the Pharah. So we're looking at 2 tanks who are going to maintain ground control. Then we're going to have a DPS who doesn't care about the tank whatsoever. So clearly these two were chosen for each other. And then like the Lucio just doesn't do anything, right? Orisa never wants to be sped anywhere. She has a static defense. She wants to set up in one place and then hold that place for as long as her shield does, and then maybe inch her shield forward or inch her shield backwards depending on the flow of the battle. Hog also, he generally enjoys being sped places, sure, but he's going to be following his main tank for the most part, and the main tank is going to dictate the pace of the fight. So Lucio doesn't do that. Now, he will end up being good against this 4-2 dive comp, Lucio, because in the event that their team actually does need to run away, Lucio can speed boost them away. But like, Hog's not a good dive target. Orisa's generally not a good dive target. These two are the peel. You can't really dive Lucio because he has speed boost, wall ride, amp it up healing, boop, for instance. He's never really out of position. He's just too mobile. Pharmacy, also, never really out of position. They're in the air supporting each other, peeling for each other that way. And Tracer just fuck all. So, like, no one on this team is easily dove. And we're running dive into it. So I'm interested to see how it comes. I do think that, like, this should be a different support to go with these tanks. And maybe we want another DPS to sit behind this shield to make this shield actually effective. The other thing we can do, maybe, is just swap this. Like, if this is instead of Winston, right? Then yeah, you don't have a diva to jump with it, but like, you have 2 DPS to follow up with you, and you can control this small semblance of high ground on this map. So let's see how it plays out.
Reinhardt holds his tiny head phone to the.
Orisa should have problems getting to point.
There's so many of that.
Alright, Daniel, I'm on you.
Go to the last one with Marth speaking Japanese.
I just saw the arm flying around. I was like, what the
So
fuck?
Pharah doesn't create space on point
Yeah,
until they're capped, and
because
Orisa doesn't really
Scrap
create
is a
space
joke.
attacking either.
By the way, both
They have pharmacy.
targets.
So,
They're running
Want me to
pharmacy.
play it? I'm
alright. So Grape dives in. He should be immediately singled out. Where's boat mode? Boat's here. He already took some poke. That's dangerous.
playing it.
They're already on point setup. Good for them. So they use Lucio to get to point quickly. Once they're on point, this small fuck off box makes it difficult for them to dive.
Fuck.
Lucio point? I'm
I'm
on
on the
Lucio.
shield, to be honest.
You're on Lucio. Why are we on Lucio? I feel like with this comp, without where's boat die? Boat die's here. Okay. He probably needed to retreat this way and just set up here out of the line of sight of rockets. And notice how Excelsior is like in here somewhere. So like Orisa can die pretty fast, I think, especially with Discord. You have enough mobile heroes to get past her shields, and she doesn't have enough healing with Lucio. So that forces the Mercy to drop, or she dies. Which is kind of why this doesn't make sense. There's no one to really support the Orisa's position outside the Hog, and the Hog's not going to be enough here with the Diva in the face. So I think like Orisa's a good target here. And then you just generally wait for cooldowns. If Tracer uses recall, you focus her. If Lucio uses boop, he's still probably pretty safe. I know, it's just weird.
Shooting shield is fine.
Reloading.
Hogs half.
Fuck, this Lucio slippery. I hit Mercy.
Lucio's generally
Mercy's
slippery
down, yeah,
eel.
all targets.
They've
Farrah
got-
got me. We might just lose this slowly.
Yeah,
You're gonna lose this.
Might need to back out.
Probably just
Mercy's
jump
still
out.
low if we can get her. I think we're fine.
No, it doesn't matter if you get her.
We
So
might
you see how you spend a lot of resources jumping the Lucio, and the Lucio just lives, basically. There was a huge problem in that your healer for your tanks and your damage amplification died immediately. After that, the fight was... it's basically lost. You don't have a good dive target. You're not going to have a good focus. We swapped here off Tracer to Soldier. That seems okay. The only issue with this is, like, yeah, you can kind of contest these two. But, like, without Discord, it's not going to happen. And that, like, suddenly this shield gets value. This shield suddenly starts actually cutting someone off instead of just being ignored. It's generally why you don't see Orisa on Koth, with some map exceptions from where her pull is just really strong. An open-ish area like this, where there's a lot of side flank areas, does not behoove people with shields, particularly such a static defense. Alright, but we're running shield. So what I want to see is Soldier. I want to see to control this high ground here. He can overlook point. He has to worry about the fire a little bit, but he should take the Zen with him up on that high ground. Get both of them here, and try to dictate the pace of the fight using this high ground. From there, we can use D.Va to, like, try to bully this out, and then slowly retake point once these guys are dealt with or sufficiently pushed back. You're not going to really have shield break, so Soldier just kind of has to find value where he can. In this sort of, like, Soldier modified dive, I think it was a little early to use, or to switch to it. The Soldier's going to have some issues here.
Sorry, guys. It's all good. I'm gonna go try and get high ground to deal with the Farah a little bit. I need the Farah discorded though.
Watch that hog on the shoreline.
Yeah.
Alright. So we've come in. The fight hasn't started, right? And we're already really, really low. That's a problem.
When I see her, I
Jumping
can get
Lucio.
it.
She's
Discord,
main above Lighthouse.
We're jumping Lucio. That's an issue. Lucio doesn't care. Since we lost fight so badly.
Fuck.
He's dead.
That happens. So this fight's over. Right. Unless we pop off with maybe like a blade real fast. We lost our main tank. We lost a decent source of healing. Maybe our main healer. And they've lost a DPS, but they have like enough damage spread out throughout the rest of the comp. Right now we have Soldier in his correct position. I don't see... Here's Boat. That's a fine enough position for him. He has to worry about getting hooked here. But we can maybe make do. Right now, this person is directly in sight of several of our team. We can focus them down. Alternatively, she's kind of free. Is she Valking right now? No, but she has it. That might be a bit of an issue. But generally, she's pretty... This Mercy's pretty free. If we want to focus her.
Did that kill everybody?
Score Tracer?
I think it just killed me.
Just use recall.
One.
Bomb on Boat.
we
I
go.
got stuck.
There are one.
They'll put a bit
I
more than
killed
that because
myself.
they have res.
Okay,
Oh no,
we're
we
both.
got...
If you need
So Mercy used
yeah.
Valk. Alright. Not good on her part. The fight was already won, I think. We used too many ultimates on the red side. We ended up using 1, 2, 3. After the barrage, the fight was likely won. Pulse Bomb secured it, in case there was any doubt. And because Boats died early twice, he doesn't have 40% on his trance, which is a huge issue. The win condition for Zenyatta is to build trance and to counteract enemy damage with it. And we're not currently doing that. So we ended up using... Good thing for T40 is that we blew Valk for not a great reason. Do we use anything on this side? Doesn't seem to. We got a lot out of Soldier before he died.
Let's give this one more push and we can
So
switch
while
if
this
we want.
tank comp isn't great, once it's set up, like the
waiting on
Pharah and Orisa are hard to dislodge.
Discord Farah.
They're taking so much damage on approach by
Just watch
going
out
this
for a
high
sec.
ground here
You hear Rip?
that the Pharah is getting a lot of value
Discord
uncontested.
Mercy.
I think instead of going like a soldier modified dime, you could just run your own Pharah and just try to out Pharah them. Because if their Pharah goes down, pop, none of these other DPS deal with the air at all, right? And granted, Pharah shooting down on this point isn't the greatest move in the world, but like you'll have the advantage. Like you'll probably drop the Lucio. You'll have a Discord, you have a pharmacy of your own, and you'll have the Diva to shut her down. Because right now she's getting a lot of value. Ugh.
She's
Ready?
one.
Jumping to point.
Fucking Tracer.
On Lucio. Lucio
You
on
guys
point.
are down one.
Lucio one.
Discord
Lucio one.
somebody. I
Winnable.
can't see who.
I stopped his ult.
Orisa.
Targets.
Hog behind. Hog behind.
Pharmacy
Capping them.
behind point.
Good catch.
Hog on
So I'm not
point.
really
Hog.
healing
Hog.
good
Double hug.
target calls.
Two rolls. Watch fire though.
There's
Hug
up
needs to
above
die.
somewhere to the
Wow.
coast side.
Pharaoh's half.
Pounding on you, behind you. Towards your backside of point.
Mercy with the fire.
Alright, so this fight's already won by blue team. Our team needs to reset before they get farmed further. This guy seemed out and then he hooked someone in and has continued fighting. The fire is still in range to get poked. For soldiers, particularly to build visor, you don't need to do that, you can just reset.
Hog's
Fuck.
half.
Should we go double hit scan here?
So this choke is terrible. So the one advantage you do have with it is that Pharah can boop people if they come in here, but like you're going to get a lot of cleave damage from these two tanks coming through this small tiny choke. So if their entire team comes through here, Tesla Cannon will hit 4 of them. Well, I guess 3 of them, no, 4 of them, because he's still up. That's a lot of value out of the Winston, particularly with like Bomb and Primal. You can get a lot of value out of there. The Soldier will have issues until they round this corner here. But still, it's like Dash and these 3 tanks can make quick work of the team. So instead of coming through this choke, if they instead let their Pharah come from this side, as she's currently doing, and you just kind of swing this way on point past the pillars, that could work. And then the Pharah swings and keeps this. The Pharah and the Tracer keep the Soldier off the high ground as the tanks move in.
I can't fucking hit
Yeah, if
shit.
you want.
Oh, I'm retarded.
Rob's retarded.
Hog discarded.
See how much value he's getting here? And Orisa has to sort of walk in front of her shield to do anything. So like, they're forced to come to point. We could just pretty much just sit here indefinitely and wait for them to come in, eating some spam. But now they have advantage. So, the Orisa left her shield. She should be focused. She's in an incredibly bad spot. Boat is also actually an incredibly bad spot. So instead of Boat being on point here, he needed to have rotated back to this mega room. Like right back here. He's on the stairs there. He can't be rushed down. He has a retreat path in case he eats spam. He could alternatively be up here with the Soldier, supporting him naturally, and having a good dictative line of sight over everything. So he can discord targets. He has cover up here. He has support here with Soldier in case the Tracer comes for him. And he's not in danger himself. Which is particularly important how close he is to
Discord
trance.
or
But he
Orisa?
should just die here.
Kill the hog, kill the hog, kill the hog.
Regrouping.
Alright, so they use Supercharger. Supercharger is scary. It's like a nano boost for the entire enemy team in terms of damage output. I think it's like you're not holding trance for anything else here. There's no visor, there's no blade that you really care about. Like, I would probably transfer Supercharger. But yeah, okay. We end up doing it.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
No, that's fine. The problem is everyone else died in the meantime.
Yeah, no ults, no ults.
Should I ult on it?
Nope.
So this fight was already won because they had 2 people down. Who did we lose? Let's back up here a second. We lost.
Okay.
We lost Soldier and Lucio.
Lucio.
Just
Discord
off
or Rissa?
Supercharger. I'm sorry. Hog ult
Kill the
Supercharger.
hog, kill the hog, kill the hog.
Regrouping.
So as soon as these 2 go down,
Oh, I shouldn't
One
have done that.
and 2. This fight's won in red, right? Good on Team 40 for saying no more ults, just die on point, contest as long as possible. That's pretty good. The issue is we're going to use Bomb for no reason, and we're going to use Valk here for no reason,
Yeah, no ults, no ults.
from their point of view.
Should I ult on it?
Nope.
There's Valk, there's Bomb.
I don't think so.
Fuck.
No, you should back out.
They used Bongo there.
They used 4 ultimates there. Like,
Um,
I'm ready.
Mercy
T40 should be
definitely has ult.
basically
Definitely
happy
got
with
the
that.
Valk.
No,
Yeah.
Mercy's
So now you know that you don't have to worry about Valk. They might have beat for Visor. So we should try to force beat out of Lucio or take him down quick. Sound good? There's probably not a good opportunity to use self-destruct offensively against a shield here. You can try to break shield, wait for her to replace, and then place it down in conjunction with Visor, maybe? That could be a play.
ulting currently.
Oh, is she? Okay.
It just ended.
They used Bongo. Bongo's
Keep
down.
fixing
Grape dies late. That's not
I
good.
think he's down.
So Bongo,
Hog ult, then
they probably have Lucio.
Valkyrie's
then.
down.
they might have beat you.
I think I took beat when I killed him.
Good
last,
communication
but
of ults. Ooh, he doesn't know that they were there. You should be able to hear them hovering there. The fact that you can't is an issue, and it'll probably cost you this fight. She could honestly just barrage you right here. Diva needs to be matrixing that if you guys don't have an idea where this is. Someone should have been able to scout this. That's basically what I'm saying.
We all here?
I could be wrong.
So he dies.
Fuck this Farah.
Discord Farah?
I'm.
This fight's
Yeah.
over. Like, neither of your DPS are currently in this fight. What is this, 90? We don't have Primal. I think you have to send Diva to touch and just try to stall with self-destruct
Down. I can't do
to
it.
contest
We
this
have to
point.
push now.
Yep.
Can we get this Tracer?
He lost a
Use
lot
all
of
stuff,
damage
man.
fighting here.
Blow.
Now we're not enough health to do that. Now we're going to probably lose mech if we contest early. Do we even get this contest off?
Going, I gotta go.
I'm dying.
I agree, you have to go.
I'll come in with Val.
Alright. So they're still
I'm gonna get on,
don't
but
have
I'm gonna.
beat.
I-
I got booped
Di-
off.
I died to Farah 4 times that game, guys. I don't know what to do.
We have to go
Where?
for broke here.
Perhaps? Yeah, there's beat.
Whoa, that
I
doesn't really help.
figured we
to be
wanted
honest.
Discord for
Yeah,
Farah.
Discord's gonna help more.
Somehow,
Yeah.
despite like
But we haven't been able
Team
to act on
37
ults. We didn't pick Farah
using
one time.
ultimates badly, like overusing ultimates, particularly Valk, like getting no value out of their Valkyrie. Each time they used it, they still seemed to be up in ults. Alright, so Lighthouse. Another decent farm map. You see a lot more Orissas here, just kind of camping out on the corners here to try to pull people in the pit. I expect Orissa Hog from both teams. Be my guess. I generally want a Junkrat to blast this, although Farah does well too. And a hit scan. So a lot of people like running anti-dive here.
Rissa for sure.
Should I say?
Or Hog Diva. Either Hog Orissa or Hog Diva, I would say, for this map. You can go Farah or Genji, whichever you prefer. we're not
Fair.
IV anymore, so
See it happens.
3, 2, 1.
I'm going to try.
Oh, do you want to try Mercy here?
Yeah, I can.
On Pharmacy?
Try it.
Alright, so let's talk about this, about team comps for a second. Once again, we have Lucio. I assume this is because we're Koth and we're trying to get there as quickly as possible. I don't think there's any really good additional space you gain on this map by running Lucio first. It's not like Nepal Village, where getting through that choke first is a huge advantage. Lucio here just isn't as good as a number of things. In particular, right now, Lucio isn't enough healing for like this comp. In general, Hog's going to be on his own. Tracer's going to have to grab packs because mostly the Mercy is going to be here. Now, on the other side, we have Zen, who is a decent enough choice. Thanks that he has a defensive ult. But also not enough healing if like the Orisa gets in trouble. Zen isn't going to be able to bail Orisa out. His orb is her orb, Fuzzbug's orb is going to be very, very taxed here. So I don't like this healer combination with this tank lineup. This tank lineup is going to take a shit ton of spam, generally. Tracer I think is fine. I think she's a little hard to utilize on this map. A lot of the ways you approach her through narrow corridors, and if people are running McCree junk, which is what you typically see from the anti-dive Orisa Hog comps, her angle of approach is very limited. I like the Pharah. Once again, the Tracer's kind of awkward. I like the tank lineups from both sides. I like the McCree a lot, and the McCree with a Zen should be able to at least contain this. If you had the problem with this DPS lineup though is that if they're running the shield comp that is kind of typical in this map, McCree won't get value until that shield is broken, and Tracer's not contributing to that shield break the way a Junkrat could. She's at least circumventing the shield, so she should be able to get some value, but like Pharah does that better. Especially on this map, if that makes sense.
I'm gonna go left side. You guys push.
So we're going to see a stall made on
Riz,
point,
if
then
they
we're going to
have
see a shield war.
Pharah-
If I can back up just a tad. That's a
Yeah,
little too
on
far.
Pharmacy?
Do.
Try it. I'm gonna go left side. You guys push main.
So we're going to see shield setups here, and then we're going to see the Pharah up in the sky here, while the Tracers probably play like this side, around here, and come together around this mini, and fight for jockey for position there. The way that the fight swings in someone's favor is if one of the Tracers picks off the other, or a shield break leads to a hook, or Pharah directs below this wide open. Those are the win conditions for the individual teams. In organized games, it's unlikely that a hook from either of the Roadhogs or a suck will be the deciding thing, because people should be disciplined enough to not be in range bearing some coordination. Now, you could argue that like a suck in conjunction with a hook could open that, and that's very fair, but them individually should not be doing things at this level with organization.
Riz,
People
if they
should be
have
behind
a
shields,
Fire still, maybe
and they should keep
I'll-
them safe
we'll
until
say
they're
switch
broken.
back.
Alright, so this shield's a little forward. In that the Pharah gets to circumvent it pretty easily. In fact, if Pharah just like comes up here, that's an issue for them in general. I like that it's a natural extension of this wall here, so you can dip in and out of that. I am a little concerned with orbs going just like right here, just kind of pulling people off, but we'll see how that goes. This one too is a little issue.
They've got McCree Tracer for
Break that shield.
Yes.
You discorded.
McCree Tracer
Yep.
both
Here,
left
it's
side.
So we got a boop first off. That one's hard to dodge, and that's kind of a consequence of playing your shield so far up. And then a hook naturally
Screen back.
follows.
I'm on point. Tracer on the left.
So this fight's over. Blue team will cap this point. what we have to look for next is that it is in. So this comp is. This comp has issues attacking the point, but once they're on point, they're very hard to get rid of, right? The Orisa spam plus the spam in general from like Orisa and Pharah slows down a lot of pushes, and you're going to have a lot of trouble getting back on point with an Orisa of your own, so you might need to swap off here. You will likely need to swap off here. You either need a... If you're fixated on shield, you probably need a Reinhardt. If you want to run dive, you can run dive. But you need to figure something else out to do.
Call.
McCree half.
Recall down.
Two on the left, two on the left.
McCree, yeah.
One on the left.
Tracer on the left, mini room. Cap, nice, good.
So blue team now should be looking to... Tracer plays in this back area somewhere. Don't care where. Grape kind of plays like this high ground, spamming down this hallway. And the tank's set up here, spamming also down this hallway. And then they slowly rotate back to point once pressured. Or they get to push forward if they get picks. That's how blue team should be playing this. Red team, knowing that, should be doing their best to minimize damage on approach. Because for them, they don't actually get a good look until they're sitting right around here. And with this comp, they can't really rush due to their tank choices. And they're kind of looking for either the Tracer or the McCree to get good picks to open up the fight for them. Otherwise, they're kind of screwed. They should know barrage is coming.
Oh.
So a hook halt, I assume, gets bagel, and then Rez gets fucked. So the pick from... They get picks to open the fight.
Yeah, that's a good hook.
McCree's left side.
Really good hook.
Down two, just
We should look to stall on point. He needs to fall back to our initial starting position. And try not to get fucked. Maybe... Nah, we can't get a res off. We've given up the position. Boat just probably stays up here, and maybe a barrage can turn it. Otherwise, we're just kind of stalling on point. I don't know if I'd commit to a barrage. Especially with hookup. They can interrupt it. Yeah, we got double boop.
Ah,
Damn, she
oops.
burst me.
I'm pretty sure that we still had Fortify to prevent that boop from killing us. We fucked this up. How does Grape die to this? I'm not sure. Maybe he was low from that.
Just contest
Stall on
point as
point.
long as we can.
I can't believe I got that.
So
res
they're
off.
not
That
going
was-
to pressure
that was a little
our
nutty.
Lucio forever. Our Lucio can just literally stay on point as long as the McCree doesn't hit him.
Contesting.
We're still on.
Why is Grape here? What the fuck? How does Grape get here? So he
Contest
gets
point as long
rezzed.
as we can.
I can't believe I got that res off. That was a little nutty.
How does he end up? Oh, he gets
Contesting.
pulled down.
We're still on. I'm back.
Yeah, just keep stalling.
Coming back.
Okay.
Shit, they got me.
Hogs down.
There's nothing else.
Coming.
How
Tracer
did
on the
Grape
right.
fall back down?
Stinky's down.
Yeah.
Tracer on the left.
Orisa half, Orisa half.
What a bizarre angle. So like Grape ends up here, and I realize that he gets like sucked along with his Mercy down in there, but like you're not playing any sort of cover by being in this space anyway. So like you can easily just get discorded and McCreed from there. Like if you're playing, you still have to play an angle, and there's no angle you're playing here. You can either come around Lighthouse and shoot from like up here. You can be way the fuck up here and rain down on them. You can be over here or over on this building. Or just generally like being a nuisance behind them playing with this bridge. But like just being in the middle of the map does you no favors. And like yeah, you're gonna chalk it up to, oh, that's unfortunate, I ended up falling in the well. But there's more
should've been
issues
done
with that.
Just keep
Rob
them
needs to stay on point. Just stay on point, especially during your fortifier.
Boosting
percentages.
Mercy
That's
back.
fine.
Ah,
Okay,
shit.
that's
nah,
I got it.
Alright, so what ultimates do we have coming online for this? We have Ursa, we have High Noon, we probably have Trance soon. We have Barrage on this side. Remember, we won the first fight over here. But like, the enemy, and we held for 50%, but they won the first fight, or the second fight, convincingly enough that they have ultimate advantage. That's not very good. I realize we used Pulse Bomb. And they
Alright,
probably
try not
used
to-
Pulse Bomb too. Alright, same issue, where like, you're gonna have to find picks here. Like, one of these 2 DPS or the tank combo is gonna have to find picks in order to break this.
Back up if you need.
Just back up and respawn.
Recall down.
Good call out.
Yeah, she
Is he how far
she got out.
behind the
One more
McCree's
coming.
playing?
Waiting on Orisa.
So Orissa's able to be rushed here, but she doesn't really have to worry about anything right now. The Hog's kind of in a dangerous spot. I realize he's playing like this corner. And that's fine. But like, Grape doesn't need to be here. He should be creating a crossfire like on this side of the map. Or on the lighthouse. So that way he's never in line of both of these at the same time. Unless he chooses to be. Right now we're kind of playing shield war here. If we can force her back, we're suddenly gaining access to point. Trisha's now like way on this flank, not doing anything. Fuzz is like vulnerable. So this is vulnerable right now to a tracer flank this way. We need to recognize that and capitalize.
Recall down again.
So we're just kind of
Play
playing.
left? Do you wanna
What
play
is?
left?
Tracer's down. Tracer.
Okay. We were fighting an enemy tracer. All right, that makes more sense.
Tracer's
They
down.
kill him
Tracer.
left.
Let's push.
Let's push.
Yeah, you
So
guys push
he's
left.
okay. So now we're in a great position. We won a side flank battle. We have our Pharah basically uncontestable unless he mispositions on the right side, and we have full access to the left side by Tracer. This is no longer defensible. This needs to be backed up and probably regrouped on these stairs. We get blue team gets to take this entire space. Everything here officially belongs to blue team. Barring like some ultimate changing that
Left.
dynamic.
Pushing in left.
Oh yeah. And you shouldn't be this high. You do still have to worry about High Noon.
To Orisa.
There it is.
Where's that
Careful
McCree?
little.
Fuck.
Alright, we play
Hogs,
away from it.
Right side.
Alright. So we lost the Hog. That's kind of an issue. How the fuck does her tank get here?
So.
Alright, so for some reason, our tanks are pushing in this way. Okay, what does that afford us? We get access to Mini, sure. We kind of circumvent this shield, and Dirty ends up going this way. But we already know that this is Hog's stronghold. Tracer can't fight Hog these days. Ever since the breather change, you can farm him for ultimate, but he's like, he takes too long to kill. So Tracer mostly wants to avoid Hog. Tracer wants to get to the backline, wants to get to this guy and this guy. Preferably, and if we have time, we can flank the Orisa. But we're not doing that. We're taking a duel here when our tanks would be better matched up against their tanks, and we should be looking to get back here. So some mispositioning here by blue team to do what is necessary.
Some
Careful
McCree.
little.
Fuck.
There's the Hog.
Hogs right side.
So the Orisa enters an indefensible position. We know that this guy is behind us. We're going to place our shield here, and then we're just going to be intimately vulnerable here. It's going to be up to our Hog to stop this McCree from flanking our Orisa. Right now, enemy or red team has some good positioning in that we're using cover here. We're generally safe. We have control of points, so we're not in any real hurry to force people off. And like this, we're safe from suck. We're not threatened by any flanking DPS. We're just generally content.
McCree up top. Behind.
This
McCree
McCree should
behind on
just
left.
die for being here. Right now, where's our other DPS? Is that our Pharah here? I don't know why our Pharah went in this fucking choke. And now, Pharah, I realize you're setting up for a barrage, but like you're still in the middle of fucking nowhere right now. Against a team that just used Bongo with the McCree here, and you're in full sight of 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5? 4.5 of them?
Fuck.
Hog low.
Yep, you rightfully die.
Hog low. Kill this hog. Nice.
Got the
Hog down.
Lucio. Tracer on left still.
Alright, so we traded a couple kills. We importantly got 2 ults basically out of the fight. Red team. We lost our best way of getting around this shield in Pharah, because honestly, Tracer isn't going to be too effective against this just yet. It's hard to say what we need to do to advance this. We're kind of playing static defenses against static defenses. So long as their defense is up, it's difficult to do shit.
Fuck, I'm dead. Oh, maybe not.
And when they have both their DPS up, like they don't need healing because they have a shield.
Yeah, Tracer's
And you lost
I don't have
a great source of DPS for you.
I haven't even gotten a bongo yet. Messed up.
Yeep.
We staggered too long. Needed to reset.
Okay,
Yeah,
we've
wait
got
up.
all of our ults. Let's just group up.
Then was have high noon again.
Let's go in with Valk.
Yeah, I agree. Fuck, sounds good.
The problem with going in with Valk is that you know that you should be keeping track that their McCree has been doing enough damage that he almost has high noon again. What would a better option be? Well, I guess leading with Valk is fine. You do have to be conscious of the high noon coming in. However, we need to see some more coordination between the 2 DPS to realize what avenues for them to maneuver are safe. Like, I don't ever want to see Grape here in tunnels. He should be taking high ground advantages around. He should never be in open space. And I don't ever want to see this guy intentionally fighting Hog unless it's a team effort. He should be avoiding it, should be getting in the back line. All these guys are contesting point and trying to combo their suck.
Going with
Their
Valk.
pull and
Oh,
pull.
fuck, fuck's sake.
Here
Alright.
we go.
I guess we're
Push
Going
it.
in with
Just go.
Valk.
No, just go.
Going in with Valk.
Alright, see the Tracer flanking. Rez right now is kind of playing as a mini soldier. He's not on a flank. While this Tracer is going to split the team's attention. See, Rez still hasn't entered this fight. Get a hook on GS Omega somehow.
Fuck. Right
Yeah,
there.
got you down.
Trade Arissa's. Where does Grape ult?
Just go.
Comes in.
Going
comes
in with
comes
Valk.
in. Is he in the middle of the fucking zone again? There's no cover here. Why are you here? Why are you going to ult here in the front of their fucking team and just hope that you can out DPS the McCree? Are you within stun range of the McCree?
Fuck. Right there.
Yeah, I got you down.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I popped
Nice.
that and died.
Watch the boot.
I shouldn't have done that.
Fuck.
Yeah, I got you down.
What a pulse bomb.
I popped
Nice.
that and died.
What happens here?
Watch the boot.
I shouldn't have done that.
Lucius,
Wow.
one more,
God.
one
We
more. Holy
booped them into
fuck.
that.
That was
What
bad.
the fuck happened?
I think they got booped into each other.
No, well, yeah, but I Tracer bombed them.
Yeah.
That's
sick.
the best
Jesus
bomb I've ever pulled off.
Christ.
Good job, man.
That fight was lost without
We got
that.
one coming
That's
from spawn.
incredible. Alright. So, where's Farah? So Tracer, I like this Tracer flank. That looks good. We're looking to single out Fuzzbug. It would be nice if we could get the Lucio, but Lucio's harder to track. He is more valuable because he has his ultimate, but like, getting the Discord out is pretty important too. We don't have bomb. We can farm one up before the end of this match, though. So that's what we should look to do: farm bomb up on tanks if we can't get a support, and bearing neither of those being options, just kind of distract them, take their attention off of us. Grape should be looking to fire down sight lines and generally controlling high ground still, and we're looking to set up. Because our tanks are delayed, we won't be able to set up here where we ideally want to, so we're probably set up back on point back here. And Redeem has enough ultimates to turn it, and honestly, High Noon probably counters our tanks just perfectly.
Zen half.
Genji,
Oh.
Genji pegged?
Loopy.
Yeah, Genji.
Tracer's in good position. She's going to get Pulse Bomb, and she's probably going to open up this
Lucio.
fight.
Hold stand.
No longer.
Grape is in the middle of fuck nowhere again.
Pegged.
I think Hog on her right here. McGreen left.
Oh, he
He
got
He gets
me.
his Mercy killed,
Pretty low.
basically. Although Mercy shouldn't be following him
Recall
either.
down.
Fuck.
High Noon
Yeah,
opens the
that's-
fight.
Tracer.
They have
That's
so many
unfortunate.
ults.
Yeah, their tracer is
Time
really
point.
good.
Shit.
We got one more fight here.
Do you have one more fight? Is there anyone else who can touch?
I'm gonna try and get on point.
Oh.
I don't think. Nope.
So the story of the first Ilios map was basically their Pharah kind of ran amok. Got boat mode early a bunch of times, and then we were committed onto targets that we couldn't really kill. The story of the second one is that Grape isn't safe, and then McCree started hitting shots. We had
Get it.
poor
I should've
ult
just gone straight
tracking
there.
and some positioning, and our DPS didn't really come through. There's nothing really to do as a tank in that situation. Eventually, you do need to frag out in order to win maps.
Sorry, not hot.
Let's see.
Fields
Oh,
for attack.
yeah, the Tracer was uncontested.
Until maybe midpoint we can pretty good. Or Diva.
Well, Ryan Diva's okay, or Ryan Hog. Those are both fine.
Alright,
Good
so
triple tank.
We'll try this.
Triple tank gives us nothing against Pharah though, so
Yeah, I was gonna say 76 or Zarya is probably good. Or Diva.
nice.
let's talk comps here on Iconwald. Iconwald first point is generally Death Ball preferred, although the pro meta is a little bit different. If you're running shield comp, particularly at our ELO, the shield sets up somewhere along crosswalk and just spams into this choke. Usually with Junkrat, usually it's an Orisa set up here who gets to do all that. And then it's the defender's job. The attackers rather, come through this choke and are basically forced this way. Because the shield is so far back, you can't really rush the shield. So they are forced to take the space given to them and float to their left as they go either into the mini or just around the tower here. And then the shield resets and meets them on point. Somewhere about here, maybe about here, depending on the speed of their reaction. With the Orisa, you at least get to halt them here as they come in this way. A nice halt here will slow them down and open them up to more spam from the Orisa, which is non-existent, the Junkrat, and maybe set up for a hook as well. What we're seeing instead, though, is we're seeing a Reinhardt. So Reinhardt still kind of has to play here, but as they come this way, he has the option of charging in, making a short charge against this wall right here, and initiating the fight here instead of rotating to point. Ryan never wants to be in extended fights because his shield is a depleting resource. without lots of rest. As the fight progresses, his shield gets lower and lower, while Narissa, her cooldown keeps coming up, and so she gets to keep replenishing her defensive position. So generally though, this is a decent comp, right? We have spam for the choke, we have a hit scan, we have a defensive ult, we have a strong main healer, we have a comp that wants to stick together, we have good ultimates, and generally this is pretty sound. Outside of maybe the main tank choice, you can change. This could maybe be a McCree, for reasons we'll go over in a second. So we're running a modified dive, Pharah modified dive on attack. So the Pharah is going to play, Pharah generally plays beyond this choke, spamming the defense and forcing them further back from angles. And as they fall back to point, she gets to play this pillar around hit scan so that she's never touched, and she plays outside of fall-off range. She doesn't care about Soldier, because anytime Soldier gets close to pressuring her, she just, whoop, just behind pillar here. She uses the pillar as cover. Against McCree, so like, Soldier's damage is just, if here's a graph of like, damage over time, Soldier's is just continuous until he reloads and then it falls back up, and then after reload it comes back, right? McCree, however, has burst. So he goes like, in between shots, quick damage, in between shots, combat roll, so on and so forth. McCree's burst damage is much higher than Soldier's, particularly when he's hitting headshots. And so, if someone's playing in and out of cover, McCree is generally preferred. In that, for the 1 second they're outside of cover, he can maximize his damage while the Soldier just kind of has to wait for them to reappear. The 1 or 2 bullets that McCree will get on are more than the windows of opportunity for both hit scan are equal, but McCree makes better use of it. And his ultimate is just generally pretty good here. Yeah, he is a little bit vulnerable to the dive that's coming into them, but with proper positioning, that's kind of what we end up seeing. So because that Pharah modified dive is so good on Eichenwald attack, in the pro meta, we see teams play way back here, basically committing to on point. So the Pharah has to like, so the Pharah ends up playing on this pillar here in front of us, while the rest of the team pressures point, which makes the Junkrat not as good, but we'll see how this ends up. The dive here is very strong. I do wish that instead of a Moira, it was a Zen, to get Discord focus, but, or Lucio to help get them through choke maybe. Dive without Zen is weird to me.
Okay, they've got a tracer.
That's generally fine.
Is that
Heard of Pharah.
I have a Pharah, yeah. Pharah's above us on our left.
Yep.
So Pharah went for this far flank, which is great. It's forcing these guys to all back up, and they're generally going to have to go this way in order to get their shield this way, and also facing these guys. This Pharah is going to split attention fantastically. Notice how Dirty Riz is already back here. He's not going to be effective at this range against here. Even with Discord, the Mercy Pocket should keep him safe, and the line of sight, the sight lines are going to be very difficult.
Just back up to point so that we can work on this.
I don't
Pharah.
see her.
I think they're
They're
coming through
They're
left.
above-
Yeah, they're
above
coming
me.
through left.
See how Bagel doesn't, like, he's holding his shield up, but he has nothing to do here. Their comp choices have just completely invalidated Ryan as a character right now.
Left, they're all in
She's
left.
like above the roof.
So, their whole team's here, like 3 members of the team here. This Tracer like double blinks in for some reason to try to follow up, I'm assuming, on a direct rocket call out here. She's in the middle of essentially 4 people and should be immediately focused.
Roof, yeah.
Oh, that
She
tracer.
actually gets someone. That's so sad. Let's watch that again.
Work on this.
I don't
Pharah.
see her.
I think
She's
they're coming
above-
through
they're
left.
above-
Yeah, they're
above
coming
she's-
through
Riz takes the
left. They're all
spritzing.
in
She's
left.
like,
Riz takes a direct drop station. We have a heal on him. Where is our orb?
above
Blinks
there.
in. Where is our healing orb? He leaves his station. That's not good.
The roof, yeah.
There's just no reaction from the team here.
That tracer's
Recall
one.
down, recall down.
Fuck.
Discord Farah.
Winston, I'm playing.
I'm down. You guys need to kill everyone.
She got
but-
me.
Fight's fucked. So with the soldier down, the fire's gonna run amok, of course. I think the best bet would be once your soldier dies, it's not a good option. But I think you retreat through here and regroup, maybe give up like 2 ticks, maybe most of 3 ticks, then try to recontest now that the soldier's closer. It's unlikely to work, in that they're going to get a lot of value from you coming through choke, but like the fight's otherwise basically lost from here. Good on their tracer getting the initial pick. I do think blue team could have reacted to it better. And outside of the tracer, these two and the Moira were not in position to follow up on direct rockets. So if we can coordinate these 2 or 3 with the Farah and their DPS,
Or,
that would be a
We're
much
all-
stronger dive.
Yeah,
give it a match.
Soldier's gone.
Switch to dive real quick.
Yeah. Rob, go Diva if you can.
Shit.
It's probably
Where's
gone.
recontest
Yes, you guys
that?
are dragging.
Recontest
Yeah,
Gone,
that.
okay.
gone for sure.
You shouldn't have done that.
I nearly killed Mercy, but
I mean, it's cool that you nearly killed Mercy, but like, that still leaves 3 other people for you to have to focus since the Tracer died early. Like, even, like, you're not doing anything against these guys. And these 2, like, counter you, basically. Alright, so, let's talk about second point real fast. Second point, castle is key. High ground here is very, very, very important. You generally see if people are going Deathball first point, they've swapped off to something to contest high ground with. It's not as important for the defenders to have mobile tanks, but for the attackers, they generally want to. Thankfully for these guys, we already have that. Farah is good-ish on second point. The issue is that, like, suddenly the hit scan get to sit up here, or the divas get to start out here. In pro meta, you have like a widow as well, fucking with you. And so the angles of attack for the Farah are strongly dictated in and around this castle, where unlike first point where she could just play out of range, she's forced sort of into everyone's range by just the topography of the map. The Farah is not very good. I would consider saving up using Barrage and then probably switching to Genji. Tracer has some play here in that she can come in and out of castle, but generally she has a problem contesting this high ground without proper setup. She's not terribly great on this map, on this second point anyway. Her third point is also pretty bad, I think. Yeah, not a very strong Tracer map. Generally for DPS on second point, the go-to is Genji Widow, I think. With these tanks. For defense, you could probably run an Orisa, but like it's so high ground focused that is just generally like Widow modified dive for both teams. Anything can work at this elo
okay,
though if
so
you're
they're
proficient with
gonna
it.
Get a little bit of
Poke gets trickled.
free card.
Well, okay.
Alright, so this goes into something that you would have liked to have done, but you can't now that we're staggered. So like you lost first point very, very convincingly. So enemy team is going to have ultimates. So what you should do is take a fight here at this choke. Doing so, you hope to get ultimates out from them so that the next fight is the one you win. Because right now, if you give this choke up for free, you likely can't contest until it's bridge. And then if you lose bridge, you have to fight here, back across this other bridge. So it's like choke, catwalk, and end of bridge, and end of second point are the three major stages. If you can get a fight here and force them to blow ultimates, which you know they have an advantage because they rolled you, then you can take then if everyone dies on payload, you have enough time to recontest for here or somewhere around this area, and hopefully win that fight with your now ultimate advantage. Okay? Or you can dry push 1 and 2. Let's call this 2. 2. You can dry push 1 and 2, and then win with your ult advantage in 3. But you have to make sure that people die on payload, otherwise you won't be able to regroup in time. When we get to 3, and respawns are in such a way that we're not coming out to contest by the time their tanks are up on these chokes, we've probably lost. So that should be the goal here. Thankfully, with the payload here and the door here, we actually have some time to respawn and actually still get this contest. So long as no one else dies.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, they're gonna push up. We gotta back up and regroup.
Yeah, back way the hell up.
Group's fucked. Can the tracer already blinked out?
Way the hell up.
I need
the way
healing.
all the way to spawn.
I'm just gonna.
All the way to spawn.
Group's playing
Punch up
dangerously.
fire as well.
Oh wait, is there no?
Alright. So because of their picks, they get to take this space, which isn't that big of a deal, because really what matters is here. We're still running the soldier. The soldier wants to... Okay, being in here sucks. We're not doing anything from here. Our tanks being in here does us no favors. There's no healing in here. There's no healer with them. And really, we need to control this space for our soldier so he can contest the Pharah. We'd like for 2 of our members to be up here, at least. And we are currently not facilitating that. Good on red team to take all of this space, though. These 3 here are essentially making it so that this gate is free, and they're going to get the push at least to here relatively safely, without having to use ultimates, which is their whole goal.
It doesn't spawn anymore.
I don't know if they're doing that
Yeah,
consciously,
so that's fine.
but it's good.
Okay, we got everybody? Alright, we're good. Try and
just
take high.
Alright, so you should know that they have these 2 ultimates. You can maybe guess on the Moira. You should probably know that they're going to have Valk soon. And you have nothing to contest. You need to be looking to draw these out as soon as possible.
Ground.
You're
Try and
expected
take
to
high
lose the
ground.
next fight or 2.
Farah's up here.
Discord tracer.
Winston up here as well.
Alright, we're moving up. Keep in mind right now that any fight we take here on castle benefits the attackers because they're getting free payload distance. So generally when you want to fight, you want to fight on the objective. Suddenly, you fight on the objective, then every second that passes benefits the defenders because they're eating up the clock. Your goal isn't to win the game from here. Your goal is to delay.
I'm stuck. Jesus.
So we are still running like a dive comp, and our tanks haven't initiated the fight. We're just kind of here. If we take the fight to payload, at least we're doing something. There is really no one good to dive, unfortunately, here. You have to kind of wait for them to commit. And then, like, attack whoever has blown cooldowns. The issue is you're not adequately protecting your Zen and your soldier so that they can deal with the Pharah, because right now the Pharah is getting a lot of value just from her spam. Which means their tanks don't have to dive. Which means you don't have anyone to focus.
Jesus Christ.
Any deals?
Yeah, their tracer's
Yeah.
annoying.
Watch this fire. Fire above.
She might have ult.
Notice how far the
She
payload's
probably
going
does.
for free, because no one has contested it yet. Bagel's finally there. Good. We have Visor. I can't see if how much protection he has, but it's not going
There's
to do
sports
anything
arm
here.
point.
This is a really good job by Bagel here to contest.
Okay, we gotta get to cart.
Discord,
Yeah.
Farah.
Okay,
Go
Diva's
play
at a
point.
mech.
Alright, we started to turn the fight. Good. Our first step should be to contest this point. Now, we used ultimates. We used Visor. At least. Yeah, we used Visor, and only Visor, to win this fight. So we should know that they're going to fuck us next fight. If they so choose.
Shit.
They're down their tank.
Or this
Yeah,
fight.
we're down everybody though, so
This is... still winnable.
I'm still up.
At the very least, we
need to-
should take fights on point.
Discord,
we need to
Farah.
get to cart.
Going
Yeah,
away
dying
doesn't...
card if you can,
that
or
doesn't do
fight
anything. That doesn't do anything. Rob is throwing
down
here.
card.
So now, Rob is likely to die. And in the meantime, by the time Rob dies, the card is here. He won't respawn for the fight that takes place here. If he instead dies on payload here, the card gets to maybe about here. By the time he's able to recontest, he will basically have respawned. So you can't run away like this and die. If he manages to get back, that's good on him, but
No,
Down.
as I run off the card.
Just wait,
Maybe
just
play
wait
it.
for our dive tanks. Okay.
Heal me?
grip stalling, that's good. Grip stall here might save this. They don't actually demech Rob.
Okay.
They do demech Rob, that's awful. Alright, we're blowing a lot of... I understand why you trance. You want to win this fight, but you should know that they have a severe ultimate advantage over you. So blowing this trance here does nothing. They're still going to win this fight. Especially since you're down in numbers. Not only are you down in ultimates, but you're down in numbers. You're also generally in a bad position. Your soldier's kind of alone and doesn't have high ground. He has no retreat path. He's going to die here, most likely. Their diva is making sure of that. We have no one to contest this far, still. Because of that, and we are kind of forced to rush in to use our ultimate. Like, this isn't a good trance. Even if it keeps people up for this fight, unless we're suddenly even if we get 3 picks in this, 1 to cancel out Rob being dead, and 2 more to actually give us an advantage, the rest of the team can still carry the fight with their ult advantage. It's kind of rough. So yeah, he's dead, because he has no support. His boat has left him. We get their Moira, but they correctly use Valkyrie in response. With one of their healers down, the other healer has to pick up the slack, and the ultimate is the perfect way to do it. We lose boat because he's suddenly in the middle of their team without trance. He needs to recognize that once his trance is running out, he needs to have a plan and retreat to cover somewhere instead of just kind of being here in the middle of nowhere. Okay. We get the res. This fight is over. The call should be no ults, die on point. We can maybe get another contest. Why? We don't need a bagel. We don't need Winston ult. This does nothing. Good boop, however. Why do we go Reaper? Reaper does nothing, Reaper does nothing, Reaper does nothing, Reaper does nothing. Reaper can do something, but like... if you go to point, these two are just going to jump your soldier and this guy behind point, and then you're not going to do anything. Or, like, you're just sitting back here in the back line, in which case you're not doing anything. And they just attack the tanks. They're not really forced to go to the Reaper. I do agree that you should stall on point, but, like, this is over. So, like, the Winston stalling on point doesn't give you another fight here. Granted, if you're going to die, you want to die on point. But, like, what you're also doing is giving up this first corner up for third point by dying here as Winston. Maybe you guys could have regrouped during the time the door comes down, but you probably also don't want to be Winston for third point anyway. So not a bad decision to die on a point. But you are feeding a decent amount of ult charge. So of course they're going to push up once they've confirmed that they're going to hit the point. And you need to know this and have already left as soon as possible. Grape decides that for some reason he can contest solo when there's 4 meters left, and they rightfully come up and just murder his dumbass. So yeah, you probably need to switch if you're just going to keep getting picked. I like Bagels. So let's talk about third point for a second. Third point is, once again, it doesn't, once again switches back to like Death Ball is kind of prevalent. Junkrat is very good here. Reinhardt on attack is very good. Reinhardt in defense has the issue still where his resource is depleting. So he has a hard time maintaining shield and is forced to take action earlier than a lot of teams would like, where an Orisa can just play a corner and then play a corner and whittle down a team's defenses. Shield comps generally like to play the corners. And that's where I want Bagel to be set up, either here first and then fall back to here as things get hairy. As for DPS in the background, Pharah shouldn't have that great of a time here, neither should Tracer. Generally because of the closed, cramped corridors here. Tracer has some play back in here to her ass back, but Pharah doesn't really have any sort of skybox to speak of. Judging by the way they haven't been dealing with this Tracer, Tracer might still get value here. Instead, however, like the Reaper has some value here. I think Junkrat is way better. Soldier is decent, is good here. D.Va's fine. D.Va's good. I'm expecting a swap to a more tank ball composition here for third point. Once they lose. So Reaper is having issues. So right now we're kind of set up in no man's land. We don't have natural cover to go behind once our shield's down. We really do want to be playing this corner right now. Right now we're in full view of like their team. There we go. There we go. Yeah, his shield's running low. Grape here isn't able to contribute anything. Rez here. It's weird, because like he swung this way so that he can get like this angle. But like their team had already swung this way, so he's not behind tanks at all. That's kind of the issue. He should maybe better be up kind of where Grape is. Got some ult Fiesta. This far has ultimate. Rob is correctly identifying that she is a threat. She can, yep, go in there and fuck her. That's so bad. So our healers are here, right? They're generally safe. They pocket each other and they have a retreat path, generally backwards or up into this room, and then the mini way down here. But they're going to swing this way. And then they're going to group up, and all 3 of them are going to get Tesla cannoned. So Bagel seems anxious. He's going to end up getting in here somehow. What the fuck are you doing, Bagel? So Reinhardt in the middle of 5 people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? He should just die. That's not good positioning. Like, Rob being up here is also not great, but I understand, like, why he did it. He chased Afar into this room, and then the Afar, like, boops this way. So I understand why Rob's here, but he should be looking to retreat. And like these healers can't go to him. They should wait for him to come to them. Because if the healers get caught up here, they're dead. They're just dead. So here they are up there. Here they are, I'm getting the insane value of the Winston getting 3 people. Bagel's still kind of in the middle of the team. He didn't lose very much from it because they weren't focusing him, thank God. And then we get demeched, which is a huge issue against the Pharah. We no longer have Matrix, so we're free to barrage. Enemy team should be matrixing for their own diva. That's huge. They're pushing their advantage. So, like, I understand the calls, but there's no reason for your emotions to make it to the team calls. You're just bringing everyone down. Right, so, you know the Pharah is going to be spamming down into the chokes. Just stay in spawn and come out as a team using Matrix. Being back here. So Rob comes out. So see how they're both in here? This is an easy way to get continually staggered. You're not safe here. You don't have numbers. They're going to push up to take this advantage. I like the Winston pushing up. He didn't need to bubble right away. Alright, so we're finally kind of grouped up. Our tanks are going in a little early. We had some time for our DPS to come out and one of our supports to come out. That we could have given this a little bit more breathing room. It's going to be one fight regardless, right? We should know they have Valk. And in fact, in response to all of this, I'd like to see Fuzzbug pop it. Honestly, a Tracer Bomb on either of these tanks could be huge. You don't necessarily have to look for a DPS in this case. These are the focuses. So we pop Valk. We end up getting Grape. Did he Wraith form? I don't know how that happens. We also get... Wow, we also get Divamech. That's huge. Alright, we have Sound Barrier to kind of try to even the fight. Did we just get that? We did. He uses it as soon as possible. Okay, that's unfortunate. During this, we need to be focusing someone. We have... Baby Diva. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of our damage. We no longer have one of our DPS. And we no longer have mech. So it's really only you to like damage people. And that kind of sucks. I don't think you can go get through Winston at this point. That sucks. Switch to stall. Yeah, Tracer. Go Tracer. Tracer or May, maybe? So right now you're just buying time. It's fine. We're fine. I mean, you're not really. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at comps. So they're running basically the same defense you guys were, except instead of the Ren, they're running Orisa. So they have very strong shield break. They have a lot of spam. Basically every one of their members spam in some fashion, and you're going to have issues getting through the choke. Fortunately, you have this guy, Lucio. Lucio will get you through the choke. Hog doesn't actually do anything. Hog is bad here in that you're not going to have enough shield break to get through an Orisa with her replenishing resource. What you need here instead is a Diva. So during the speed boost, you will matrix the entirety of their spam to get your team through safely. In doing so, you can then come on the other side of that tower in the middle. Other side of the tower in the middle, rest your matrix briefly, and then continue the engage from there. But you need the matrix. You most likely need the matrix in your death ball comp to make it through the choke unscathed. If that's not possible, maybe you just start running dive. And Farah would be pretty good here. She can stay out of range of this, and the Discord's some trouble, but like you have some good flank routes as demonstrated by their initial attack, and you can basically wait for her to get value and the rest of the team follows up on it. So let's see how this goes. So we open up, coming through this way. We start eating the spam immediately. If we're running this sort of comp that needs to speed through choke, we might consider coming around this way instead. And then so they don't see us until we get to about this spot here. Instead we're eating like this additional bit of space of spam, and it's going to eat into our shield. Notice how boat is still kind of behind. Where is our... We are not together. So the call is to push to the left. That's generally good. That's where they're giving us. We're not going to be able to rush this. We're not really eating spam just yet, but our team is not together. Notice how the Lucio and Anna and McCree are still back here. It's not as big of a deal because the Lucio's back there, but like these guys have to wait for the Lucio. If they go without the Lucio, they're going to be eating more damage than they need. And if the Lucio's up here, then the two in the back are just going to get left behind. So this is dictated entirely by the speed boost. Notice how this shield is already kind of fucked. It's because we're not together. This is not coordinated. Rob is lingering for some reason, looking for a hook, when we really just need to kind of go. Now the shield's down, and we still have 3 people on the other side of this choke. That's not good. Rez, right now, is frontlining. He either needed to duck into this room, or get through completely. So notice who didn't make it through? Yep. We don't have enough defensive resources to actually get through this choke without sustaining heavy damage. Even if he doesn't die, look how low we are. When they rotate over, they can just take a fight because we won't have fully healed. And they just take the rest of us. Back up, this is over. So great, yeah. So good on this team to push up and clean the rest of people. Like that doesn't happen a lot, honestly, in Platinum. I don't think we do it too much in Diamond either. But if you have an advantage, just fucking push them. Like that's great work. That's super good. Good on them. So now it's dictated. Their next push is dictated by Grape respawning as opposed to Bagel. You know, because they staggered the Ana and then they staggered the McCree. Very, very good on their part. Yes. Yes, you need Diva. Okay. So Rez is playing with fire here. They're still kind of set up here because you haven't respawned yet. So if you get hooked there, you just fucked your team. Don't do that. You're not going to get spam and you're just going to feed their ults. Because they have the shield. Alright, so it's weird that they've set up here for a quick pick. This is rushable, where the shield is now. No one's communicating that they're set up at the choke instead of at crosswalk. This is bad shield placement. A better team will speed through there and then fuck your Orisa. Particularly with the D.Va. Now, you're running double projectile right now. And it's weird that, like, you've kind of changed your win condition to, like, now it should be D.Va, or, sorry, now it should be Pharah, creating the space for your team as they come through. But, like, there's no longer any shield break here for the Junkrat to play off of. So he's going to have issue getting value until later in the fight. Right now, Pharah is your win condition. This needs to be communicated, what's going on here at choke, because the rest of the team is still kind of back. Also, I wouldn't come through this here. Like, here's your tank. Here's your main tank. Why are we in front of our main tank? You guys. Just play with them. We're losing D.Va mech. Honestly, here, if we lose D.Va mech like that for free, we're all going to back out. All of us are going to back out. D.Va is going to go back to spawn. She's going to switch to a different hero and then switch back to D.Va to get mech. Okay? We're going to lose like 12, 15 seconds maybe. We might actually get a push in instead of feeding all this ult charge by trying to push without D.Va. Alright, yeah, they're just going to get him. That could have been avoided. So we're still pushing. We're just trying to get staggered here. We're not going to do anything against the shield. Just leave. Like even if you had bomb's not that good. You should consider going back to just switch and then switch back even if you have self-destruct. It's that important for this engage. Yeah, moving to right side might be good. So unfortunately, you're never going to break their shield with Orion. And you can't run Orisa. Because Orisa doesn't push forward easily. It's kind of the problem. Orisa doesn't take space while advancing. So like you can't fight anti-dive generally by breaking their shield because they're already very good at that. Why are we poking? What is he? How did that happen? Is he like back here? Why isn't he with team? You have two options. If they set up their shield here, you can use Matrix and Speed Boost to advance past their shield and rush them when they don't have their shield. There is the issue that Reinhardt will be very vulnerable to the spam from Junkrat from both their DPS and Discord. That's an issue. But maybe you can get a trade that will snowball a trickle fight in your favor. However, their shield is instead back here. Back here. Somewhere like here. Maybe a little further up. Don't know. In which case, you're pretty much forced, if you're running a low mobility team, to speed boost on the opposite side of them and make it through unscathed using defense matrix and some shield blinking and speed boost. But it requires everyone to be together. So generally you just want to go dive here. And just everyone kind of gets in together. Ryan Shield is not. No. So here's something that, like, this isn't necessarily true. It's true that, like, 700 is greater than, what, 2,000? Or 900 is greater than 2,000? But that's... What's Orissa's shield cooldown? Let's do this. Orissa... That's not the one I want. I want the good one. Is it Fusion Driver? Protective Barrier. So it's 900 health on an 8-second cooldown. So it goes 900, and then 8 seconds later she gets another one. She starts out with one, and then you have to break 1,800 worth of shield in 2 separate places while closing that gap in order to do anything. And if you take too long to do it, she gets another one. So suddenly she has 2,700 worth of shield. You know? And Reinhardt's will not last that long. Against this spam being put out, and Zenyatta minorly, like, you're not doing that. You're just not. I had to learn that the hard way. You can do this with Ryan, but it involves defense matrix and coordination. Alright, no, Rob, fuck this push. So Rob loses mech here. Rez is almost dead. We actually rush through and we get this. Okay, that's good. Is that enough? Yeah, it looks like it'll be enough. Okay, Grape ult's in like a dumbass place again, but whatever. That's good. We rushed through their shield and we used Hammer Down. Alright. Okay. So you see the enemy team switch to like some high ground control. That's generally what you see here. So like we didn't need to lose mech for that too. We could have just sped him through with defense matrix. I'm surprised that you got through with just defense matrix. I don't think the enemy team reacted to the shatter well. Or they didn't consider that you could have shatter and spread out. Like, they should have fortified that. For instance, they should have halted you upon approach. If possible through matrix, because matrix only lasts, what, 3 seconds? So yeah, Rob and Farah are the only ones who can control high ground. I suspect Grape is going to have issue against their soldier. Once he gets some good directs. And you're playing Tracer in like this narrow as fuck corridors against Junkrat, Soldier, Zen, Hog. That's gonna be rough for you. You have no lateral space to blink. Tracer really likes open areas. And not vertical areas. I wouldn't play Tracer here. It's amazing how much work you guys did as 3. That's pretty good. Alright, obviously this Hoggold is awful. They've already lost the fight. If they can, they should regroup back here. Like, way the fuck back. If they can't, they just need to take a fight on point that they know they're gonna lose. Last thing you want to do is commit any ults to this. This is a very, very bad stagger on their part. They've completely fucked this up. This is a small issue. He is out of position. He's very much out of position, but no one has seen him yet. And so if this visor gets any value in the next fight, that's entirely on both your Diva and your Farah's fault. And to a small extent, the Tracers. So Grape dies to him and doesn't call him out. Is our diva out of mech? Oh, that's a fucking shame. Oh, why did we line of sight that? So like, we don't even need to beat here. So he gets Grape, because Grape like randomly boosts in the air way the fuck over here. I guess against the Winston? Alright, that kind of makes sense. Maybe to get an angle here, but like, you don't need to be further down the screen in order to hit these guys. You can just hit them right from where you are. So he dies. Okay, look at where this fight starts. So like, this is a bad visor. This is an objectively bad visor. So like, you're not getting him, because he's just gonna line of sight you here and force you to drop down if you want to get him, in which case, like, you're in a bad position as Soldier. If you can trade Baby Diva for him dropping, that's probably fine. But that might be the best the Soldier can do in this situation. You're not killing the Reinhardt. He's at full health, he has full shield. You shouldn't be able to kill the Tracer. She can just line of sight you with this ledge. And Lucio can just line of sight you with the payload. So like, this visor is useless. Or should be. You can maybe get the Diva. But instead, he both gets beat, and since we jumped off payload for some reason, we're not behind this goddamn shield. And we lose boat too. And now they get to re-engage. With ultimates. Alright. Good. They should. I don't know why you lingered. So here you are. Why are you staying around? You use so many blinks going down into here, but down there's not safe at all. Like, if your objective is to go like down here and then come out here, like, they already control that space. They're gonna cut you off. You can't use this tunnel to come back this way because they already control that space from with the Soldier and their spawns from here. You should just jump off. You're just staggering. Like, there's no value in trying to get out. It's not like you're Zarya with a whole bunch of charge. Yeah. So this guy's still up here. Pharah probably shouldn't be peeking until the Diva has controlled this. We have 2 support ults, both of which are very good. We almost have Primal. We're up against T40 has both tank ults. One of them is really useful, one of them is situational. We almost have Barrage again, which is good. And we almost have Nano. Good Nano targets. Probably, no, we have the Rhine. We can Nano the Rhine and then speed boost him around if we want. The problem is their team is really mobile, so it's unlikely that we're going to get a shatter on a decent amount of their team, and a lot of them can just jump away from that. So we're not really looking to Nano the Reinhardt. We can Nano the Diva, and then she can bully a number of people here. I kind of like that. We can Nano the Pharah, and that's not too bad. You're probably not going to get super value on the tanks or anyone but the Soldier or this guy. You can Nano the Tracer, and that might be pretty good. Nano here is a little awkward. You have some options, though. We might be able to get this soon. So he's peeking without his team ready. He dies on approach again. This is a full reset. Just reset. Unless you can get this opening pick because this guy fucking drops for some reason. But this Soldier is just uncontested. What's the code in this game? What? What the fuck? What was he doing? We were discussing shit on our end. He's in your game? Come on, bruh. So like this is where Genji is vastly superior to Tracer with this sort of high ground. I like that, that's strong. This sort of flank is kind of awkward. You're kind of boxed out right now. Considering that the fight is going to happen somewhere over here. I don't know, come up through stairs as Tracer. Come around this right flank. I don't really want to see you here. It's just kind of a longer way to do things. Alright, so your Reinhardt's not really covering anyone. Boat mode is like... What is boat mode doing here? This doesn't help anyone. You're like, you maybe have Reinhardt in your range. But like... If Ana gets jumped, you're not close enough to protect her. And Lucio's primary job here is to protect the Ana. So you need to be with your Ana, prepared to boop anyone and speed her away from anyone who comes near her. So instead of being here, if you shift to like this corner here, you still help your Reinhardt and you're still within range of her. As Ana, I'm probably looking to be in this, to use this as cover. And then I can fall back to like the health pack here. But we're kind of in the middle here doing nothing, and thank God we're controlling the high ground, because otherwise this is a really, really bad position. So here they come out. Boat mode. Is this a nade we're tossing? We're tossing a nade offensively on a Tracer who can just recall it or blink away. This is not very good. Ana is in full view here. That's not good. Boat mode is still... He's line of sighting the soldier, yes, but like he's not there to help his Ana. Rub has a good idea and goes on him. I don't see where our Tracer is. Perhaps she's still fighting over here. Fuzzbug's position is honestly a little close. Fuzzbug could easily just be way the fuck back here, and like no difference would be had, other than the shots get a little bit harder, but she would still be in plenty double orb range. Maybe she's playing close because of the Transcendence, but I don't know. Fortunately, the soldier doesn't recognize he's being dove and doesn't fall back into the welcoming arms of his support. Unfortunate for them, but unfortunate for Team 40. Their Reinhardt just fucking dies because we use his nade offensively. Let's watch this again. So what do we take so much damage from? What even got us there? Did we get bombed? No, we didn't get bombed. Just need a fucking... So we're discorded. Oh, we get hit by the Tracer. I didn't see... We get hit by the Diva as well. Yeah, we just... Our Ana just can't keep us up. And our boat mode is doing literally nothing over here. So yeah, he had like maybe a healer on here, but like if he's pushed up here, he can like boop these guys to help his Rhine. And then speed him away. And get him in range of the Ana. But if like that Ana nades here, plus the heals, Bagel should stay up. Complete a misappropriation of resources. So this fight's over. You've lost your main tank, you've lost a DPS. They're gonna clean the rest of you up. Get out. Grape is also, once again, in the middle of fuck nowhere. How does he end up here? So like, our Tracer is still coming up this stairwell here. Tracer's currently out of the fight. And this fight is already unfolding. That's not good. Our Pharah is raining down from up here. Ends up helping against the soldier, maybe? Question mark. But it seems like we prioritize like this half a castle for some reason when we know the payload's over here. So like, what matters is this high ground and this immediate high ground. So going up like the stairway here and taking like this tower doesn't mean very much except to leverage this side. And we haven't done that yet. So like our tank here, our supports, and our tank have already engaged, but both our DPS are far behind because they're still fighting, like, staging battles for the real battle here. Red team just takes a fight advantaged 4v6. Lord knows Tracer didn't do anything. And then Grape ends up in the middle of them. And is likely to die next. They don't have Soldier. This might be safer than I'm thinking, but like, Fuzz can see. Tracer can see. Their Diva, wherever their Diva went, should be able to see. There's Diva. Boosting currently on someone else. That's fine. Someone's getting cleaned up. Rob here is now kind of fucked. Hopefully in the confusion he can get their Zen. For something, he's just dropping down. Good pick off onto the Zen. Almost gets the Zen. Gets the Zen. Good on Rob. Now we have a stagger. Now we're trading supports. That's fine. We're likely to lose mech ourselves. We might need to use mech just to make this fight good. We don't ult. That's fine, I guess. We just take another fight. None of that mattered then. Use monkey ult. Why the fuck? So team seems to be pushing out without our Diva. That's a mistake. There's no reason. There's no reason to do this. You have a minute left. Just don't fight 5v4. So yeah, like, they're down their Zen. And their Zen is like moderately important. But like, you don't have high ground contest without the Diva. The Diva is way more important for your comp on this point than the Zenyatta is to theirs. These dive tank compositions already operate with like minimal healing, and their main healer's still there, and he ulted, and they're line of sighting you. Like, they don't have to win this fight. You have to win this fight. They're gonna get 2 fights in. So honestly, if you're red team here, excusing the pick that is going on in the background, if you're red team here, you take this fight dry, and you try to get as many of these ultimates out as possible. And then you actually set up for the final contest here. Dying on payload. Okay? Because remember, you're not playing to win this fight, you're playing to win the match. So Tracer gets a pick. Tracer gets 2 unsupported. How does this happen? So Resno recall. He goes decently far and is forced to blink. Ooh, that's an aggressive blink. So he was being pressured here. You're not going to get the Diva mech through the Mora healing with the entire enemy team focusing you. That's incredibly greedy. We saw you use recall. Blinking to here, line of sight's the soldier, sure, but it also pushes you further into enemy territory and puts you kind of well in the sightlines of both their Tracer and their Diva, and their Winston if Winston wasn't ulting. So like this aggressive blink is just going to leave you low on resources likely without you accomplishing your objective. Right, you go back, but yeah, you're the easiest follow-up here. Gets you in the middle of the team. Boat just jumps in front of it. Okay. It's because you're pushing before your tank can take the space for you. Show later, perhaps. This filter on the high ground is carrying them. As is their Tracer, admittedly. And their Diva. Like, really, they're all doing pretty well. in relation to like this game. So like here we are pushing again. We're already taking shield damage, right? We're already committing to space we can't currently commit to because the Pharah is still kind of not here. So good on the, so they're creating an enormous crossfire here. Notice how people aren't even using your shield, they're kind of like going this way. So like, you're just kind of taking damage for free from both a Tracer, a Winston, who's demanded space here with his bubble, and the soldier here. This is kind of why Rhine doesn't work on this map, on this section of the map. It's because this high ground is so important, and you have to take this whole area before you can actually do something. You can work it if you're like coming through castle and forcing them off, but you no longer have the time to do that, right? Or if you're on last point here and you're just coming through castle just to push it one last thing. So like, you don't have any high ground contests, and this is a fucking issue. Hog is bad here. Like, yeah, you can blow up their tanks maybe, but it doesn't solve this issue. It kind of solves this issue, but a good tracer will just kind of play away from you. And you're just going to feed Visor. Speaking of which, they have Visor. You don't have a defensive ult for it. If Diva boosts not to this guy, the Visor's going to win them the fight. Alright, see, the boost comes through. Grape attacks high ground. Grape needs to ult to prevent this Visor from carrying them. Good. Good. Okay. So, from here, we have 3 good ultimates. But remember, this could have just been an easily dry fight. They've used 2 of them. That's a mistake. These guys are all staggering. They need to die on point. They're not making it across here. They should have already been on point as the fight turned. Oof. Okay. I don't think you don't need to commit hammer down to this. Zen is dead. You have Hook, assuming Hook doesn't land. You have Diva boost to get in, assuming that doesn't get you there. You still have Pharah in the air. The Zen is going nowhere. You don't need to commit an ultimate. This fight has already been won by you. Your problem is that you need to make sure that they don't have another fight. At least full up. So yeah, the stagger's good, but you need more in payload. Because right now you're going so slowly that they might actually get another fight. If you can stagger their Diva too, that's fantastic. It's Soldier. He doesn't have ults. He's actually too early, and since you spotted him, he's likely staggering himself. Unfortunately, like, right now no one is in danger here. Ana needs to be pocketing the Pharah so the Pharah can contest the Soldier. If she doesn't do that, the Pharah is in good danger of dying. Alright. You should maybe be able to see this. So, like, the tanks, like, once you have 3 on point, there's no reason for everyone to be on point. These tanks should already be pushed up and just blocking spawns. All the rest of the people are basically sitting on point. You can have 2 on point at this point. Winston, use cooldowns. Focus Winston. Good focus. We have Boop. We can actually, so I think we used Hook. The Trance might stall this out, but this should not win them the fight. We might have to commit one of our ultimates. Remember, Tracer doesn't have recall. She used it here. Tracer's a priority. Tracer recall, you called it. Focus Tracer. Anti-heal nade goes a long way here. Also, damage boosting fire can kill the Tracer through the trance. We lost track of the Tracer despite her not having her most important cooldown. We're calling out Fade. The Fade also isn't being properly killed. We kill the Zen, good. Fuzzbug was probably in a really bad position following her Transcendence. Tracer lives long enough to get another recall. That's awful. That's so much time, but I think we're going to clean up anyway. Oh, that's not good. That's fine. It's fine. No problem. No problem. Alright. So we have a real issue here that we still, if we're going to win this match, we have to do it before overtime since they capped with more than a minute left. Right now our comp is... yeah, it's okay. But we don't have, like, the ultimates, really. We do really want a Junkrat instead of the Pharah. Triple tank, I guess, could work. Should be fine. But this comp is, like, pretty slow and methodical, and we don't really have the time to do that. Our next fight has to be decisive at this corner. We should be pushing up. No one needs to be on payload during this time. We can be pushing up and taking their spawns. Like they did to us. Good, we got mech. That's good. Pushing up, we almost get this. Maybe taking space. If we could, we can leave one person on the payload and then already be setting up to fight here. I like the Ana positioning all along this to start with. I don't like Rob's positioning here. We should be basically line of sighting. I don't really care what they're doing right now. We don't need shield. Shield's not doing anything for any of us. This flank, by far, doesn't do anything. She's better just sitting way the fuck in the back, spamming this high ground. She never wants to be in that corridor against an opposing team. They have a Junkrat. It's good on them. They have a better understanding of this composition, I think. So Farah's up here. Farah ended up here. That seems fine. So you should basically be line of sighting from the soldier unless the soldier drops down, in which case she's in a lot of trouble. So if the soldier moves right, she's suddenly in the vision of the soldier, the Zen, possibly the Moira if that matters, and also critically the Diva. So like this is not good Farah positioning. Your tanks haven't taken this space yet. Your tanks are here. Your tanks are dictating the line of scrimmage here, and you've really jumped it. Play back. You should be like back here. Maybe spamming the corner from like above where boat is. Maybe. If you choose to play that way. But swinging this far this way should just get you killed. Alright, so we somehow get him. So, yeah, Grape dies. Your anchor DPS dies in this case. That's not really excusable. Thankfully, theirs also died, but they also have a Junkrat to supplement this. And Junkrat unchecked is kind of an issue. So Rob dives too far. Since she switched comps, Diva no longer plays like a pure bully style. She still wants to, but like diving this far is just going to lose you mech, and you're likely to die. It's possible for you to die before remeching, which is kind of the issue. They're stalling on points, so they can get another fight here even with their soldier down. And their soldier's going to return before this, so this trade is actually in their favor. Right? Good of them for contesting. Good on the Diva for contesting the point during this time. We're really spread out here. The call right now should be this Diva. This Diva is in fact split from their team. While they are trying to kill your Diva because your Diva is also split from your team. So both Divas are playing aggressive, although his is serving more of a purpose than yours. So if he dies during this, he's throwing, basically. Like he has thrown the fight if he dies before he remax. Alright, we get the Mora, that's cool. This Stalin point is great. They're really just buying time. This is going to get a lot of people. Get smack. Good. Good. Alright, so we have an issue where, like, he wants to use ultimate, but he's discorded and almost out of armor. Grip comes back as Genji. That's... I still would have liked to see Junkrat. You can still build Tire in this point. And Junkrat is more important to get rid of these tanks. Right now you don't have the greatest tank killing power. You don't have the Zenyatta. You have Hog. And you have maybe Diva. You don't have anything else. This doesn't complement that. This is like backline territory where only maybe the Diva can expose herself to help you. But we actually have time for another fight. We can just wipe here. Hold ults. Yeah, we're not getting a clean enough fight. So now we're guaranteed to not be pushed out of the way. Just reset. Good call, it's a bit late. You can't keep fighting this. Even if their tanks are down, it doesn't matter. They have numbers and spawn advantage. You have to reset. See how they're pushing up on you? That's good on their part. They know their win condition. That Tire is gonna win them the game. Alright, so we got our one last fight. Even though it's a bit rushed. Soldier's behind you. So, like, if you had been able to scout this soldier, he gets punished for this positioning and just dies. We see some bad positioning coming in here. So, like, Fuzz doesn't need to be here. For instance, this soldier doesn't need to be way the fuck up here. This is Baby Diva, also probably doesn't need to be here. Moira is fine being here because she can just fuck off whenever she wants. But, like, the Zen should be back. Way the fuck back here. Ideally. And here's the soldier, actually. So what is he doing? Yeah, the soldier shouldn't be retreating here. He should be retreating this way. Tire can take out a tank and Diva, but he's like risking the game going this way. So look, Fuzzbug ults, but doesn't have a path once it ends. Oh, she actually retreats, but she gets hit by this. That's unfortunate. Okay. Alright, I'm going to stop here for now because I'm starting to get a headache and it's 2:30 in the morning. We'll pick this up likely tomorrow night. Yep. Agreed. No, you didn't. You shattered one person. Ryan is awkward, like... There are a lot of things that could have been better there. And she was conscious staggering, agreed. Lack of focus, agreed. But they're... a bit of everything. You could have made that comp work, but it wasn't played correctly.